We're doing a series in the I Ams from the Gospel of John. Jesus said, I am living water. Come to me and drink, and you'll never be thirsty again. I am the bread of life. Come to me and I'll feed you, and you'll never be hungry again. When Jesus said that, I am the bread of life, the context was where he had just fed 20 to 25,000 people from a little boy's lunch of 5 loaves and 2 fish. The context was feeding a multitude of people, miraculously just using the poor resources of a poor boy to destroy the physical hunger of many people. And he did it to point to himself as the one who could give bread that would destroy their hunger, not physical hunger, not just for one day, but could destroy their spiritual hunger for eternity, to anyone who would come to him, to anyone who would believe in him. But Jesus did it for the disciples as well. There was a faith test going on here. We know that because we read in chapter 6, verse 5, when Jesus saw the huge crowd of people coming to look for him, he turned to Philip and he asked, where can we buy bread to feed all these people? And then it says he was testing Philip, for he already knew what he was going to do. Jesus was going to do a miracle so great that all 4 gospel writers would write about it. It was an amazing miracle. But he's testing Philip. How are we going to feed all these people, Philip? And Philip thinks to himself, he says, boy, even if all the disciples went out and worked for months, we would never have enough food to feed all these people, or enough money to buy food for them. He replies, even if we worked for months, we wouldn't have enough money to feed them. The question to Philip is really, how big is your God? And Philip is still thinking on a purely material level, and he says, not big enough. Not for this one. But then Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. There's a young boy here with 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. What good is that with this huge crowd? I think Andrew does a little better than Philip, but not much better. Here's a boy that has a small lunch. But Jesus, what is that amongst all of these people? So Andrew, how big is your God? Well, here's a boy's lunch. But my God is not big enough to feed all these people. And so that question is something that comes to them and comes to us pretty much every day that we live. How big is your God? And especially when we face the big issues of illness and separation and loss and death in our lives, how big is your God to get you past this? And I want to just draw our attention to another story that I was thinking about, and one we're looking at actually on Sunday from Numbers chapter 13, where God brought the Israelites from Egypt through the Red Sea, through the wilderness, right up to the border of the Promised Land. And God said, I want you to go in and take it. And so Moses sent in spies to search out the land, not really to ask, should we go in and take the land like God has told us to do, but what is the land like? What is the best plan of attack? Well, when they came back, they were laden down with grapes and pomegranates and figs. And they said, the land is there. It's an amazing land. Well, God had told them the land is there for the taking. Go in and take it. He had promised it to them. He had given them the land. All God was waiting for was a step of obedience, a step of faith, another faith test. How big is your God? Notice their response in Numbers 13, verse 33. It says, we saw giants there. Yes, it's a great land, but we saw giants there, and next to them we felt like grasshoppers, and that's what they thought too. These giants were so big and so powerfully armed, we just felt like grasshoppers to them. Here's that grasshopper complex. They should have said, they are big, but our God is even bigger. We look like grasshoppers to them, but they look like grasshoppers to our God. But they didn't go that far. They only went as far as to say, we look like grasshoppers to them. How big is your God? Not big enough. There was no obedience because there was no faith. You know, faith is like a handle. Faith is the handle by which I take God's promises and His faithfulness, and I apply it to my problem. I apply it to the mountain in my life, to the wall in my life. Faith is the expectation that God is going to do great things, miraculous things through my meager resources, just my 5 loaves and 2 fish. And one of the things I'd like you to do as you discuss in your home groups this week is these faith assurances. I'd like you to finish this sentence. Faith is. What is faith to you? And as you look at a story like this, you might want to write down something like, faith is the assurance, or faith is the certainty that God has designed me flawlessly for His purposes, even when I feel like everything around me is one big mistake. What is faith to you? So come prepared to do that. Faith is. Discuss that. And I think it may be something that truly helps you in answering the question, the faith test question. How big is your God? Well, I can answer that by saying that faith is. And that'll tell you how big you think your God is. So enjoy the discussion, and I hope you grow deeper from it.